Police officer, firefighter, and everyone else running this town.
It is a hands-on opportunity for our students to get real-life skills. They're able to do City of Las Vegas jobs, they're able to do bank jobs, work for Caesar's Palace, and a number of other opportunities.
Junior Achievement of Southern Nevada just opened Betty's BizTown in May. It's a mini Las Vegas, complete with a city hall, 20 storefronts, and 19 different industries for students to explore.
Sometimes students struggle with understanding, I'm really good at math, but I don't know what that equates to for me for a career and something I want to do that I would love doing. Or maybe they're really artistic.
I feel like I would like to be an author to entertain others that need help.
Teach them how to dress up, and interview, and eye contact, and shake somebody's hand, all those soft skills that everybody needs to know. Plus they get a solid understanding of how the economy works and what it means to have a job and have a paycheck and make decisions for themselves personally, financially, and also for the businesses that they're running.
BizTown is open for school groups, and starting next year, summer camps too, where kids can pursue different career paths in a city where the kids make the rules.
Very cool concept.
Yeah, I love that. Hurting some high-performing veteran organizations across the country are putting vets with service animals.
But one organization is this term a different approach. How the organization gives veterans more say and credentials to help them recover.
Good morning.
This is your reminder to thank the friend who gets McDonald's breakfast for you. Everyone else,
Another day, another dollar.
sleep on a classic breakfast. Get a sausage McMuffin today for $2.
If you have a flooring store or big room where wants to buy flooring, your installation could take 6 weeks or more.
Good morning, gorgeous goddesses of Chatterbait.
The way it should be. Call 888-400-FLOOR. We bring the story to your door.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers get paid training to keep the power flowing, engines running, and supplies moving. Army National Guard soldiers are learning skills that can set them up for success with companies looking to hire the best.
The Army National Guard basically fill my resume for me.
Find out how you can learn a trade and serve part-time for your community and country by visiting nationalguard.com.
Fuck, I gotta eat. I just can't stop eating. I am a fucking machine. An organism.
Additional savings, plus free delivery and special financing.
In Norman accident, things happen fast. Memory stays, evidence disappears. It can happen in an instant. For example, what color is my suit? What about my tie? See what I mean? It's hard to remember the details even seconds after they've changed. After an accident, don't worry. Call Trantolo and Trantolo. We'll help you preserve the evidence and get you what you deserve. Trantolo and Trantolo. Let our family help your family.
If your family is anything like mine, life brings up dirt and messes. Sit back, relax, and have a deep clean with Cleanse. Your home isn't clean until it's Stanley Steamer Clean.
If you have to ask why it's important to start your day early, here's your answer.
Get any size iced coffee in any flavor for just $1.29 during breakfast hours.
For many veterans, after their service, the question remains, what's next? Many organizations make it their mission to help bring back these men and women to good health, and this group is unit with the help of the service dogs.
The organization Battle Within is based in Kansas. It helps veterans with PTSD and mental health issues with their Dogs for Valor program. Veterans who take part are able to interact closely with their service dogs, which helps them improve relationships, reenter social situations, and transform their lives for the better.
It seems like I'm depressed or I'm down in the dumps, you know, we're going to teach her to come and give me a hug or nudge on me. I got too much anxiety, so like Wester, sitting on my lap.
I needed somebody, something to push me, because I wasn't going to push myself anymore. I kind of giving up on trying. And so, yeah, I needed that. And it just, now it's slowly changing into the sense of what can we do?
The Diamond program is free for veterans.
All right, that wraps up our 4 o'clock hour. If you're heading out the door, make it a great one. The news at 5 is straight ahead, and we have details on a man charged in the death of his stepson straight ahead.
Plus, Costco is recalling a lot of butter. The reason you might want to throw it out. Stay with us.
Get ready. The competition really cooks on the new Fox Thursday.
Gordon Ramsay, I thought I heard someone shouting obscenities.
Hell's Kitchen ignites. Head chefs only.
Head chefs only, heroes only.
And something was baked in, but has since gone missing. Chronicle Kitchen is serving up all new delicious mysteries.
If this is what was baked in Chronicle Kitchen, yeah, got hunted.
Gordon and Joel make Thursdays tasty, starting at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Behind all the holiday magic is you. Max, what makes you, you.
At Litchfield Hills Orthopedic, your health and wellness is our top priority. Whether you need care for your hand, spine, shoulder, foot, or ankle, have a sports injury, or total joint issues, we're here for you with same-day appointments and access to all specialties under one roof. Make an appointment today at one of our 2 convenient locations in Bristol and Torrington. You can live without the pain. Start the journey to healing with Litchfield Hills Orthopedic. Contact us today.
Cozy nights, cannonballs, bubble baths, backup plans. For all the ways you use propane, go with Petra. Our full range of propane services means reliable delivery with no hidden surcharge fees, expert installation and maintenance, and 24/7 live service and support. Go with your local propane pros. Go with Petra. Call today.
Sunday on Fox. Check for the game in your area.
She thought she was sending privately on Snapchat. It's now getting viral. I'll mention a little bit with the details on how the district is responding.
A disturbing case of violence in the capital city. 1 teen is dead, another charged with murder. Tim Care reporting what police are saying led up to the deadly confrontation.
Multiple people have been hit and killed by cars in our area, and there are organizations who want their city to do something about it. Find out what the solutions are to stop these tragic incidents from happening.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good morning, sunshine. 5 o'clock on this Tuesday, and we hope you're having a good one so far. Thank you for joining us here on Fox 61 and Fox 61 Plus and Symphony Perfect.
And Chief, we definitely need radio choice in the morning. We are grateful you're spending part of it with us, and we are excited because meteorologist Rachel Piscatelli is back in the fold after much earned a bit of time off. But now I find a little chilly.
Absolutely correct. And
conditions will be out there throughout the day starting this morning with windy conditions too and bright. Sunshine does return, and let's put back into the forecast. Current temperatures are
Good morning, gorgeous goddess.
6 to about 15 miles per hour. Sustained wind speeds, and we are looking at potential gusts today from 20 to 30 miles per hour. So plan for that red flag warning up. Again, no burning outside.
Balloons? What the fuck? No, I have no balloons. What the hell does that mean? The fuck? Oh my god, it's Caitlin Francis. Oh wait, no it's not. Still waking up.
Take a look at our drive times through the capital city this morning as we are seeing some minor slowdowns on 91 as we're traveling there. But other than that, once you reach the capital, New Britain after the tunnel is 5 minutes. Route 2, Glastonbury to the Founders Bridge is a 6-minute drive. Keeping something? Thank you, Rachel.
This morning,
That's Rachel.
on temporarily that the video she sent on a social media app went viral.
Yeah, image. The superintendent says the teacher was, quote, expressing her personal opinion and not those of the Cheshire Public Schools, end quote. Well, we are checking in with Fox 61's Angela Bavard, joining us live in Cheshire with more this morning. Angela, what have you learned?
Hey, good morning, guys. So a copy of that alleged video has been reposted more than 37,000 times on X as of last check this morning. At this time, we cannot confirm the specifics of what was said in that video. However, it did have to do with politics. Now, the teacher and the district, the school that she taught at, teaches at, have not been identified at this time. And we also know in a letter to families, Cheshire Superintendent Dr. Jeff Solon said the teacher's video was meant to be a private message on Snapchat, but someone recorded that and posted that video to social media platforms. Now, in response, Solon said, quote, the Cheshire Public Schools is
That's
reviewing
funny.
the situation.
He says the teacher made the video for her private Snapchat group, but it was somehow leaked on social media and posted publicly by someone who recorded it. The educator has been temporarily removed from the district. Right now, Cheshire Public Schools is reviewing the situation. Solon reminded families in a statement the educator was expressing her personal opinion. In his appearance, Solon referred to a message sent out to it read, "We will continue to educate our children about appropriate civil discourse and maintain
Who's got the best hair in the universe?
If you love life, get your deep
Yeah,
fried
I
turkey
fucking
sandwiches
love
at
it.
Arby's. If you love food to death, deep fry your turkey at home and risk blowing it up. Two solid options here. Arby's, we have the meats.
Davers and I are cousins. Used to be joined at the hip.
Alexander Raven, a real Cadence and Maga.
I love him and I hate him.
It's one of the best films of the year.
Jesus, how did you do that? You're like red. You slapped me in the face.
A real Gang, rated R, now playing in select theaters.
Good morning. Fucking loud.
All right, what's going on?
All right.
Story for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest updates from Chris Bumstead. I would say the most talked about of the day being the back shot that he posted to his Instagram story, where you can see he's in pretty good shape. He's got the Christmas tree going on.
Again, we don't really know what he's weighing now that we're less than a week out from the show. But we know that a couple weeks ago he was weighing 260. And we don't really know what he's going to weigh on stage or how big he's going to be relative to these open guys. And I think he looks good in this update. But again, I would say to measure your expectations a little bit for how well Chris is going to do here. I talked to Hani Rambod yesterday. And essentially he told me he's headed to Prague with Chris right now, or at the time that he texted me yesterday. He's probably already there. But he kind of reiterated some of the things that Chris already said and some of the things that we already know, such as this is going to be different, obviously, from an Olympia prep for Chris. With all the obligations, business-wise, family-wise, all that sort of thing that Chris has. For the Olympia, he kind of shuts those things down and focuses exclusively on his prep. But this time around, it's just kind of a just-for-fun prep. And Hani kind of reiterated what Chris already said. That this isn't necessarily Chris wants to come in here and dominate these open guys. This is something that Chris wants to check off his bucket list. It's like a just-for-fun type of thing. He wants to compete one more time, that sort of thing. And again, obviously, it's different from the Olympia prep, not only in the sense of how serious Chris is taking it, but also in the sense of he's got a much shorter amount of time, only about 4 weeks from the Olympia to his open bodybuilding debut at this Prague show. And not a whole lot of time, A, just to prep in general, and B, to make the transition from classic to open. So my takeaway from that, even though Hani didn't say this explicitly, and Chris didn't even say this explicitly either, he said something close to it, is that neither of them are really going into this necessarily expecting Chris to win. It sounds like it's more of just something that Chris wants to do for fun, and just a bucket list type of thing for him. So again, I would say to you guys, to measure your expectations, and don't go into this Prague show with like a very high bar for how well Chris is going to do, or a high enough bar that Chris is necessarily going to win, because I don't think even Chris is going into it thinking that. It feels like it's more of a thing that he's just doing for the fans because the fans want to see it. It's not something that it sounds like he's overly focused on. But I still think he's going to look impressive, and I still think he's going to do well. And he even said on Fuad Abiad's podcast, I saw this clip today that a lot of people were talking about, they asked Chris point blank, if he does win the Prague show, will he compete in the 2025 Mr. Olympia in open bodybuilding? Because the Prague show, if he won, would qualify him for the Open Olympia, even though I kind of think being a six-time classic to beat Mr. Olympia, he would deserve a special invite if he wanted to do Open, and Chris even kind of hinted at that. But Chris's answer to that question, I think, was pretty significant because it wasn't a no. He essentially said maybe. And that answer kind of gives me the impression that Chris would not stay retired if he won this show. Because like I said, we just talked about how it sounds like maybe even his own expectations are low for how he's going to do in this show, given the short amount of time he's had to make this transition. So again, and I've said this in several videos, I would say that if Chris wins this show, he should do, and I think he will do, the Open Olympia. Because it sounds like his expectations are low based on the amount of time and the focus that he has for this open prep. He's doing it just for fun. So if he won this show and beat a top 4 Open Olympian just for fun, I think it would be silly for him not to do the Open Olympia. And judging by Chris's response, saying maybe, I don't know, that doesn't sound like somebody who's intent on staying retired forever. And he did kind of mention the fact that he would kind of tease that he wants a special invite to the Open Olympia.
doing sauna. Oh my god, that's right, we're doing sauna today. We're doing sauna. I forget. Chatterbait? Yeah. I'm on Chatterbait right now. I talked to all my goddesses from there. I use Twitch as a recording device. I record and I put it on YouTube. I got a game plan, man. It's gonna be like 60 today, I think, and sunny. I will be tanning outside. And I think we might have to do a bike ride. I haven't been doing that because I've been doing a lot of walking. I actually love walking. But I love biking too. But I can't do both at the same time. It's actually impossible for me to fucking do it. So I can't. Did I ever tell you, goddesses? Actually, I think you did. That I'm a scientist? I'm gonna go get some more cacao. I'll be back. Cheers.
So this is Luca Chesky, creator of these beautiful little speakers over here. Price is only $4.98, not $500 a piece. They sound amazing, and I'm not gonna punch the woofer because I'm not gonna buy it. Solid like a rock, and I'm gonna take it over to Luca to talk about the speaker design. And we'll get into why he's doing all this great stuff. And it's 17 years of age, guys. I was throwing speaker drivers into old wooden speaker boxes that I blew up, barely knowing what I'm doing, and now you got 17-year-old guys doing this kind of stuff. So Luca, take it away, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for interviewing.
Yeah, thank you.
So this right here is the LC1 bookshelf monitor. So this is a speaker that I designed and I build all of them by hand.
Wow.
Now, the cool thing that really makes this speaker stand out is its cabinet. Like you saw before, it's very dense. And it's very dense for a speaker that's only $498. Commonly, you see speakers built out of stuff like MDF, which resonates a lot. And that was the goal that I wanted to kind of eliminate. And with that, I created a new kind of technology for this cabinet. Now in this cabinet, that technology is a multi-layer, high-density polymer infill. Now essentially what that does for your cabinet, that is going to bring the resonance of your cabinet down significantly, effectively giving you a dead cabinet. Now on top of that, because it is so heavy and super hard to move, the cabinet is very inert. So the combination of being very dead and very inert provide for a soundstage almost 10 times the size of the physical speaker.
This guy's
now, on
good.
top of this, the placement of the tweeter and the woofer, because the form factor of the LC1 is so small, they are very close together.
I
Now,
am
with this,
so
you have
impressed.
close to perfect impulse response. With an impulse response like that, you get crystal clear imaging. So with the crystal clear imaging and the absolutely enormous soundstage that this speaker can produce, it is an absolutely seamless listening experience. Now the cool thing about the LC1,
I might get this
if
pair.
you ever see it in person,
I was
you might
thinking, like,
notice
I
that
know I
center
want
frame looks like it's a
the
3D
dragon
frame.
right here,
The LC1 uses the latest
but I
state-of-the-art
need
3D
something.
technology. Now with
I
this,
want a good
you can achieve
bookshelf
shapes
speaker
that you can't
system.
traditionally do with wood. Now this whole cabinet is one solid piece. With no panels glued to each other, nothing screwed in. Everything is just one giant.
But where am I gonna
piece.
put it?
With
I don't
that,
like
if you guys
clutter.
see here, you can create unique
So I'm probably not gonna get it. I'm gonna get the
this
dragon
right
only.
here is my tessellation diffraction technology. And what that's going to do is it's going to help break up the high frequency waves until you don't hear them reflect off the face of the cabinet. Now this same technology is inside this cabinet along with many other acoustic treatments that you can do with this 3D technology to improve your sound. This is only in the LC1.
Hey guys, I'm here with Luca Chesky. You don't recognize the last name, don't worry about it. What got you to want to do this in the first place?
So, I would say the first and most important thing that really started my journey to make speakers specifically was I spent around 2 months at Princeton's 3D Audio Lab for 3D Audio and Applied Acoustics.
Wow.
And I was doing research for their lab.
At 17?
Yes. So it was a summer intern program.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I was under Professor Edward Sueri.
Yeah.
Yes, so he was my professor. And from that, I really got to learn the technical side behind acoustics. Growing up as a musician, I've always been playing instruments and music. My whole family, my dad with hi-fi and recordings, my sister with music, and I've always also been a part of that, playing since I was 3 years old. So I've always been on the performing side of things. But I've always had this deep ingrained passion for music. Now, going back to the summer program, with that,
Everybody has a passion for music. It's everyone. It's in everyone's
and then
blood.
in my free time, with what I was learning, when I went into the program, my goal was I want to take what I've learned and create something beneficial, something new that's never been done. That was the goal. That's always kind of been my goal as a kid. I wanted to learn and create something. So what I would do is in my free time, because I couldn't work necessarily during the lab hours, because I had to focus on the other project, I would start tinkering with, I would look at the speakers that they had in the lab, I'd watch videos and read a lot of papers. And a great book had the loudspeaker design cookbook by Vance Dickinson.
Vance Dickinson,
It's like the Bible. And from that, I created Mark I, which still used the modern 3D technologies. Not as good as it does now, but and it was just it was this 3.5 There's just this, 3-inch, full-range Dayton driver and some Peerless tweeter.
Thank God for Parts Express. Huh?
Absolutely. And from that, it was this giant. The cabinet was like this big, and then the crossover was in a whole nother box. But, you know, I think the greatest feeling that I've had so far was plugging in that speaker into the amp and hearing it for the first time. Like,
awesome.
It was, my jaw fell to the floor. It was something so surreal because I have now created something that can play what I enjoy, and that is music. Now, the goal with Chesky Audio's LC1 is, you know, as a 17-year-old, I think that there aren't a lot of kids really into not only high-definition audio, but really sitting down to appreciate music. And I think those two really go together. Because when you are sitting down and, first off, when I think you have a system that you enjoy listening to, you are more likely to sit down and appreciate the art form that is music. You know, nowadays it's a lot of, you know, little clips of sounds. And
Good morning, gorgeous goddesses. I love you.
Not a lot of kids will sit down and listen to a full album and really get to appreciate
Thank
the
you,
work
thank
that
you.
artist has done.
And again, Luca, I'm not going to interrupt you, well, I am, but years ago, I took my son to go see Yestival, which was Carl Palmer Band, and at that time, my son was maybe a year or two younger than you. 17-minute song? Dad, what the hell? I can't, you know, it's if it's under 5 minutes, it's too long, it's too much. So
I gotta admit, being a cam model is kind of
really into
addicting.
music, and
Like,
finally, no headphones.
You watching
I mean,
me?
I love headphones. You know, when I was
It's
in high
kind of
school, I just
like-
had headphones, and that was it because I couldn't afford real speakers. And then, like I told
it's
you,
addicting.
we went from going to
I can see
Radio
why
Shack and
they
doing
like to
crazy
do
stuff
it.
to this.
Even, you know, it's kind of easy
You're
to.
the first person, honest to God, and I've only been doing these audio shows for about 2 years, right? That's doing
I guess it's
speakers.
only easy if you're good looking.
And I'm talking, forget about under the age of 20, under the
You're
age
not
of
good
40.
looking at it.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
the fucking hardest job in the planet.
And then everybody that came into this room yesterday, everybody was blown away. And I told your dad, and people were saying the same thing. We don't know who that person is in the first part. Just, you know, put Luca Audio and you're good, man. Your dad's awesome. Don't get me wrong. And it was such a thrill to meet him for the first time in my life, right? Because everybody's listening to his music, but he was so down to earth yesterday. I said, dude, I'm just here to get the coffee, man. You know, you're the boss.
Yeah.
And it's like that's awesome, and you're exactly what this industry needs. Now to get back to the speaker.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Out of all of America's 50 states, Hawaii is...
What? I didn't know you could do that.
Nobody has more beef on the front line than us. We just need to wrap up. I want to hear that crunch.
Wrap up.
Out of all of America's 50 states, Hawaii is arguably its most unique. It's the only state to be geographically located outside of the North American continent.
I love Hawaii.
It's America's most recent state, having only
I've been there so many
in
times.
August of 1959. It is by far the most ethnically diverse state in the
Maui
only
is
state
the
where
best.
Asian Americans make
Maui
the
has the
single
best
largest ethnic
beaches.
group. It's the most expensive state to live in the country, and most notably, it is the only state made up of an archipelago that consists entirely of islands. And because of that, as you'd expect,
Kauai is
transportation throughout
second.
Hawaii works very differently than it does in other states because of the population being
Oahu was
divided across all
alright.
these different islands. The Hawaiian archipelago is made up of 100
Big Island, that was crazy.
There's really only 4 of them that have significant numbers of people. Oahu, the most heavily populated island that's home to Honolulu and Pearl Harbor, has around 1 million people that live on it. which
Yeah, that one is
comprises
alright.
2/3 of the state of Hawaii's entire population.
I don't
Big
feel
Island
like
has
if
about
you go
another
to
200,000
Oahu,
people. Maui, another 164,000
Honolulu,
more,
it's
and
just,
Hawaii, about another
it's more
73,000
touristy,
more,
I feel.
representing the 4 primary majorly
If you
populated
really
islands
want
in
to
the state,
fucking
called
get
the islands of
down,
Molokai and Lanai have significantly fewer numbers of people, and the other islands have
You
either
gotta
negligible
go
or
to
non-existent
Maui.
populations. And the distances between all of these islands are larger than you'd expect. The distance between Oahu and Kauai is about 100 miles, and the distance from Oahu to the Big Island is closer to 150 miles. About the same distance as between New York City and Baltimore. And because of the distances involved here between all of these islands and population centers, the only way to travel between them is by either flying or taking a boat. But it might surprise you to learn that as of right now in 2024, there isn't a single ferry service or regularly scheduled passenger maritime transportation option between any of the 4 main Hawaiian islands. And people very rarely travel between the islands by boat. In fact, the only regularly scheduled ferry service at all in Hawaii today just operates between the relatively nearby islands of Maui and Lanai. And that's it. Instead, if you ever want to travel between any other islands of the Hawaiian archipelago, your only realistic option is to fly between them. And so, virtually all travel between Hawaii's main islands is dominated by very short-haul flights run through carriers like Hawaiian Airlines. And this situation appears rather puzzling at first
They do it
glance.
for a reason, though.
Ferries and maritime transit are a very
There's gotta be a
popular
reason.
form of transportation across several other archipelagic parts of the world, including in many areas that have significantly smaller population bases than Hawaii even has. Take the Aegean Sea, for example, where there are dozens and dozens of great ferries that service dozens of islands and locations across the whole region.
I guess if you have a yacht,
that service
you
very
can do
small
it,
islands with
right?
negligible populations, but which have very large tourism interest. Across 2023, Hawaii received about 1/3 as many tourists as Greece did, but their
Where'd the
spending
controller
was
go?
roughly equivalent. With tourists to Hawaii spending nearly $21 billion in the state across 2023, and tourists in Greece spending nearly $23
Alright, I'm bored.
You don't need to be done tomorrow. It isn't something that you have to rush. If you can just let go of the idea that you have to get it done and embrace the journey of it, just start plugging away.
It's the holidays at Wayfair.
What the fuck? Now that's a holiday classic. Way of it. It turns into a hobby. It turns into like a little Zen garden.
Hey guys, Tony here, and in this video today, I've got John from Virginia, who I did a room tour of his room.
Dude, his fucking home theater is crazy.
The Tron-inspired lighting on the side walls. So John, welcome to
That
the
is
video.
nice.
Hey Tony, how you been?
Going really well, thanks mate.
How the
Thanks
fuck did he
for
do that
jumping on
so
board
well?
For this video. This is the 3rd of its kind. I've done Brian's and Matt's room, and I thought, as your room is one of the most popular room tours that I've had on the channel, I thought we'd get you on and have a chat about your home theater journey, and we'll get into it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome. So we'll start.
That's
off
a
with the first
crazy ass
question,
home
which
theater.
is, how did you get the idea to build a home theater in your room?
I think that all of us, at some point when we're kids, we dream about having the giant villain control room or something similar to like playing video games, watching
Villain
movies.
control
Always like,
room.
man, it would be great to have something a little bit better than what I've got. But my wife basically gave me the blessing, and she had the idea that let's just tear
He's
this
got the star
room out and use
ceiling.
the entire space. And the garage
Which
is
looks
22
so
foot
crazy.
long, about 13 foot wide and 12 foot high, because the house is a little bit higher than the ground level is. We started planning and have just ripped it all out. Once we had it all out, we really got an idea of how big the space was with nothing in it. And that's basically how it started.
Yeah, no, it's got unusually high ceilings, which is something that a lot of people aren't able to do, especially in a normal home where you've got the standard 8'6" ceilings. It's very difficult to get that really good separation with your overhead speakers, but because you've used that garage, you've been able to get both a star ceiling, which has quite a lot of height to it, as well as
Yeah, it looks so good.
you would feel that
It
the
looks
sound is
like
coming from overhead. So that
space is literally up there.
The decision to build it in the
It looks
garage
crazy.
versus a room in your home, was it more just that you had the space there, or was it something that just...
I need a star
Because a
ceiling.
lot of people are trying to decide which rooms...
I don't want to work on this anymore.
Well,
Not
yeah,
yet.
basically it was because it was one of those rooms that never got used for anything consistently. It was the best candidate.
I love my
that
base-
that was the driving
my-
force. There was really no
my
other room in
ceiling
the house
base
that was suitable.
traps.
It really doesn't matter. Whatever you can use, an old bedroom or an office or whatever space that you can take and turn into what you want, that's the one for you. It wasn't so much of a choice as the only real option that we had.
Why don't you tell us about some of the challenges that you had when you were first coming up with a plan of how to attack that room and turn it into what it is today?
In some ways it wasn't ideal because the only access to it was 4 foot up on the wall, so we had to contend with stairs. There was no way to get around it. It would be nice to not have to lose a portion of that square footage in the room to a staircase. But on the other hand, one nice thing was that because it was a garage, the floor wasn't even. There's actually about 6-inch difference between the front and the rear of the room, and it worked out exactly right because it's just like a theater. It's higher in the back than it is in the front. That made things challenging with framing because none of the studs were the same length. Everything had to measure and cut going down the wall. Part of the problem with a garage, the back of the room is actually about 3 or 4 foot below grade. So I've had water intrusion issues that I had to fix. Once the room got stripped down, then I put many coats of sealer on the floor and on the walls, keep the water out. There's a door on the left-hand side of the room. I had to figure out, we're not going to use this door. It's right next to the screen, and I'm building walls inside of the walls in this room. So I had to figure out how to make something shut that door off and not look like a door. The continuity of the wall was something I was really keen to preserve. So I ended up having to play with that a lot, playing that out. And there's actually a big plug in the wall that's it's got little latches that hold it in place. And when you look around the room, you really can't tell that it's there at all. I also had some outlets around the walls that I had to hide behind these tiles. I had to space those out right. Switches on the left side to control outside lights, because this used to be a garage, so it still has all the wiring that was in it originally. There's a lot of little things, you know, it's like any project. Once you get into it is when the problems start to show up. So tons of planning, fair amount of math to get these tiles right, to get everything spaced out right. That took quite a bit of planning. I used a lot of chalk on the walls to get everything laid out just right.
One of the key things about your room is that you really did build it on a very low budget. How did you come up with the theme and the plan and then work out that you could do it on a budget?
It was one of those things where an opportunity has presented itself. My wife was on board and she'd given a blessing, and the opportunity to build something that is really special and yours was right there. It was more along the lines of plan first and figure the money out later. I came up with the idea for the general theme.
Good morning.
You spend a lot of time on AVS forums and
yes, the AVS forums.
It's a good idea to see how people have done this in the past, because it's a lot like trying to drink from a fire hose. It's really intimidating to think that I'm going to build this giant thing from scratch. So you just kind of try to take it a bite at a time, try to plan it all out in advance. I'm going to need space for speakers. I'm going to need wiring to go to those speakers. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. So I probably spent months just trying to plan out the theme of the room, the way that it was going to look. I knew from the beginning that I wanted something more sci-fi. You know, I love playing video games, stuff like Mass Effect, and I really like the aesthetic that I saw in that. And Star Trek, Star Wars not so much, because everything's old in Star Wars. It's all busted up. But, you know, I saw that the hexagon thing, I see that all the time in sci-fi stuff. Like, I was playing Star Trek Fleet Command, and they had, you know, the shields look just like that. Different components of spaceships look like that. And I love that look. So I started thinking about how could I implement something that looks sci-fi and futuristic, but it's all got to be black because it's a theater and you're dealing with light control, so everything's got to be dark. How do I make something that's basically all going to be black look interesting? Because you know, you're just splashing.
I don't got fucking all day. Let's get down to the gritty. what kind of projector he's got.
I didn't have to spend my life trying to find my calling. Mine found me at an early age. Our calling is to build trust. So when you find your calling, nothing can stop you from answering. Every mom deserves to eat some fruit that wasn't on the floor.
For low prices, for fast shipping.
We gotta go to work.
With pets, there's Chewy.
My projector is pretty good. It's a blue laser projector, and the colors are great. It's 4K, but the black levels on
Oh, he's got a dual laser.
problematic.
That's
They're
nice.
Not as good as like a Epson 650 UV or some of the higher end projectors. So like maybe in the future, like that's the problem. Is I bought a projector with a 20,000-hour life, so I'm kind of stuck with it. Or you could sell it. And I'm not trying to do that. That's true. I could sell it and upgrade. I'm not knocking it. It is a great projector. It's got great. It puts out a ton of light. The colors are fantastic. The resolution is really good. I think it'd be too much work. Like that falls into one of those things. If you had to do it over again, I think I might go with 6 instead of 4. But that would
I am gonna take over the world.
Nothing is more frustrating than you can observe something that you can't work with. Putting this thing together, I always try to keep in mind if you have this work, things are going to break. You have to be able to access parts of it. Replace things or big things. So the first thing is actually all the fiber optics from them are in separate bundles, so that you can actually take them down one at a time if you have to. But two of them are actually, they're not on hinges, they have cables built onto them, so you unscrew them, they just hang. They just drop down and hang. But I don't want to take mess with wires as well.
That's all we had to do.
Yeah. And, well, that's the thing. The AVR won't support it. I'd have to get a new AVR with more channels. Yeah. And that was part of it. That is one of the things about being budget is you buy the minimum required to support your channels. So that would change things quite a bit. Definitely seats. I got these seats, and that was part of the budget thing. I got these seats for $300, and they have done very well. They're still doing well, but that is probably.
Ooh, I'm on for an hour. I'll be on. Well, I gotta cut you off, but you know, I'm using this as a recording device.
You can definitely.
Doodles.
If you're after some Valencia seats, there's some cool modern.